It took us 5 years to find a common language with 4 different LED manufacturers to understand what it takes to produce LEDs that are specifically geared to work in focusing lights. From 10 watt, 20 watt, 40 watt, 90 watt, 250 watt. And to solve some of the particular problems that are involved when you stick an LED light source into a focusing light. There are very special demands for it, so that the color doesn't change from the center to the edge. A new problem that we didn't know before called color over angle. We solved that. As far as color quality is concerned, we cannot say that we're the only ones on the planet who have the best color. But we can say there's nobody in the world who has better color than we have. We've now reached a CRI value in the upper 90s that is higher than HMI light ever was, and that is still not good enough, because we need to look at expanded CRI that includes R9, the red value, R13, the skin color, and even that is not good enough, because that's not what the digital camera sees. So we have to transfer this into TLCI, Television Lighting Consistency Index. And that is a big step forward in the evaluation of LED systems. And still, that's not good enough, because that is based on what the studio camera says. And the studio camera has 3 CCD sensors, whilst those cameras that you're using and many others are using have CMOS sensors, and they react differently. And the beastly thing is they react differently individually. Your Nikon, your Sony will see LED light different. But even between cameras of the same brand that look like the Canon 5D Mark II sees a little bit more green than the Sony. The Canon 5D Mark III sees more green. So how can you make a light source that will match everything when they're all looking through different eyes? My hope is that the better we get, and we've really reached values that a few years ago were unthinkable for those light sources, in the upper 90s, the better we get, the smaller those differences will become. And that's where we've come in the last 5 years, and that's what we've reached today. And that's why here we're courageous enough to demonstrate to anybody the quality of our lights or anybody else's light that they may want to bring by and compare them. And that can give us a tool for people to understand the color quality. But that's only one aspect. Another aspect of LED is the ability to dim. That's taken for granted. And in mobile use, being able to dim is common and everybody does it. But in the studio, you want to dim gradually all the way down to 0. And that's what we do with 16-bit dimming, which is a little bit more complicated in the software and takes a different kind of controller. So that's another aspect that we have. So we have 5 different focusing lights in daylight, in tungsten, and in bicolor. For the mobile teams, bicolor is of utmost importance, because with the turn of a knob you can adjust to pretty much any lighting situation. And our bicolor lights go from 2,700 Kelvin all the way up to 6,000 or above 6,000. So we can encompass a huge range of color choices in the same light. When you have a panel light like this one, it's a bicolor. One line, one row will be daylight, another one tungsten, one will be daylight, another one tungsten. So in a bicolor, you only have half the light output when you go to daylight, or to tungsten. With our lights, we have double. Like this 20 watt light has 20 watt in tungsten, 20 watt in daylight. We just have to balance it that in the middle we don't get too much light, otherwise it would get too hot and we'd lose the color quality or possibly the lifetime of the entire device. So we're now in full production with all of these focusing lights on the multi-LED panel lights. The absolute best seller is the bicolor 50-degree high output. We sell thousands of them. And that's a very useful tool. Sometimes the only tool that a mobile team will use because it's quick. Also here we've reached what we call dedocolor. That's the highest possible quality. And we've reached with the standard Felloni 2 a light output that is nearly 30% higher than we could do before, and still have good color. The light efficiency is an important factor. Like the standard Felloni uses 24 watt, but gives us 700 lux, where the comparable light panels, the American light, will give us only 300, but uses 52 watt. So they use double the power consumption for less than half the light output. That's a difference of 1 to 4. And some people look at the size of it and say that's what I want, because this size, the 1x1, has become very popular, but you need to start differentiating quality, energy efficiency, light output, and then come even more complicated issues, that is lumen maintenance. How long? People expect that those things will live for the next 100 years. And in the internet you hear 100,000 hours. So lumen maintenance is defined, we do it by LM80. How long, how many hours can you use it until you go down to 80% of the original light output? And with us it's about 20,000 hours. But that can only happen if the LED is working under the right temperature. If it never reaches 85 degree, because at 85 degree you lose light output and you lose color. At 100 degree the LED is dead. So that's also something to watch out for, and that's why we're proud that all the lights up to the 90 watt light have what we call passive cooling. No fan, no noise. Only the biggest one, that goes over here, this is for the big studio and the big reach. Our focusing light, that's 250 watt, little wattage, big light. That has what we call active cooling, and we keep the LED working at 65 degree, and this is huge light because LEDs need a huge amount of cooling. What we're proud about is that this special heat pipe cooling with two very large slow moving fans creates very, very little noise. The most famous competitor, the Arri L7, produces 10 dB or 12 dB more noise, which is 8 times more, which could also be a consideration, alongside with the fact that in flood position we have double the light output and the color is equally good. Both of those have good color. That now has its big companion in the new light that we're introducing here, called the LEDRAMA. This is for the big studio, big reach, 20 foot, 6 meter distance, 720 lux. The KinoFlow Celeb, which for color is in the same league as we are, in comparison has 60 lux, so 12 times more. The Celeb is a wonderful light and does beautiful over 2-3 meter distances in drama productions and so on. But this is geared for the big studio, the big reach, the high output, and maybe the most powerful one that's on the market today. at the same time, it's only using 225 watt. So if you calculate efficiency, and in some countries that has become a serious subject, with this one you get 25 lux per watt. With a KinoFlow Celeb you get 5.5 lux per watt. With a Cineo, which is also a wonderful light, perfect color, in the same league as us, you get 4.5 lux per watt. So that's a huge difference in efficiency if you're talking about big reach, big distance. In a shorter distance, more confined areas, smaller studios, those lights are absolutely wonderful, also for mobile drama. Another aspect that has become very important for the mobile teams is they want to work the lights from batteries. So we've always been able to do this for years now, that we can work with a little Sony battery for a very long time, or with a bigger Sony battery like this one, we can run, I believe, nearly 6 hours. Our 10 watt light focusing. And here we now also have a new version that we're very proud of, and I think it will be a bestseller, is the LEDZILLA bicolor. Dim the light and change the color from 2700 up to over 6000 Kelvin. Adjust to any kind of lighting situation. And it has now color rendition in the upper 90s, all the way through from daylight to tungsten, and highlight efficiency, big focusing range. So that is the bicolor LEDZILLA. The simpler brother of it is the pure daylight LEDZILLA, which is also grown up. It has better color distribution than we've ever had, and it has about 30% higher light output in flood, about double the light output in spot over the previous model, of which we've sold, I believe, more than 35,000 pieces. Then it goes on, battery operation for the focusing lights, 20 watt, 40 watt, very popular. We even have it for the 90 watt light, which is a heavy light, not really for the handbag, and especially for the Fellonis, the battery operation has become quite common, where mobile teams, even if they come to a room where there's a wall plug right there, they will prefer to use a battery because it's quicker, no cables on the ground. That's some new development that we have to cater to, the availability to go endless, like 7 days a week, without ever switching it off, without the light suffering from overheating by plugging it into the wall, or to go for a 2, 3, 4 hour interview just by inserting a battery.